I had to do it. Food for this.
Oh, Lord, just invite another one.
On your ballot, because I know you're voting, on your ballot, regardless of if you pull a Democratic ballot, a Republican ballot, or independent ballot, you will have all of the judicial races in your county on that ballot. Fulton County Superior Court judge race is there as well. Shermela Williams is one of the candidates running for that position. She has been endorsed by Ambassador Andrew Young and Carolyn Young, Senator Donzella James, Senator Vincent Fort, Representative Roger Bruce, and many, many others. She has also been endorsed by people like Gerald Griggs and other community-oriented advocates that we know well. I have her on the show to talk about her candidacy and her judicial philosophy. Shermela, how are you?
Good morning. How are you doing?
I am doing quite well. Thank you for being on the program. Let's talk about your background in law. What is your legal background?
Yes, well, thank you for having me. I have been a long-time listener and fan, and so I am so excited.
Thank you.
But my background is towards the law. So I am born and raised right here in Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm a Fulton County native. I graduated from Tri-Cities High School, and I then went on to Howard University for undergrad and Georgetown University for law school. After I graduated from law school, I was a prosecutor for about 10 years and even prosecuted cases here in Fulton County. And I prosecuted everything from drug cases to murder cases, rape, robbery, burglary, everything in between. I then went to the DeKalb County DA's office and was there for a couple of years. And then I went into civil law. So currently I am a civil attorney at Thomas Kennedy, Sampson & Tompkins, which is one of the oldest minority-owned law firms here in Fulton County, but I believe the Southeast to be exact. So my background is one that includes criminal law on both the prosecution and the criminal defense side, as well as plaintiff's law and civil defense law, and also some family law. And those are the three types of law that the Fulton County Superior Court handles and hears.
You have such a remarkable background and career. Why do you want to become a judge?
So I wanted to be a judge actually since I was a little girl. When I was 7, my father was murdered, and so that's kind of how I got introduced to the criminal justice system. And as I grew and learned more about the system, learned more about things that were going on in our communities, I came to understand that prosecutors and judges have the greatest impact on our community. And I wanted to be a part of that. Part of the reason was because I didn't want another little 7-year-old girl to feel the way I did. You know, nothing ever happened with my father's murder. The person who killed him was never arrested. There were never any charges, even though they know who he was, knew what the circumstances were, et cetera. And so I became a prosecutor. And it's ironic because when I was a prosecutor, I have a brother whose birthday was yesterday, Jamal Harris. Happy birthday. He turned 35 yesterday. But he was arrested for a crime that he did not commit, and it was a mistaken identity. The description of the person they were looking for didn't even match. It was just the same name. And so in that process of helping him navigate through the system, it really does give you a different perspective. As a prosecutor, I helped a lot of people. I did a lot of good for the community, but I also saw a lot of injustice. And what I realized in that space is that we have a lot of judges that don't look like us, who are not a part of our community, who have no actual connection to the community, and they're making decisions that are impacting our community. So though I thought that I would wait until I was in my 60s or my 50s to become a judge, you know, the time is now, and we can't wait. We can't wait for there to be representation of our community on the bench.
Let's talk about criminal justice reform. You are not a lawmaker. You would not be a legislator if elected to the bench, but you do have a broad spectrum as to how you serve in that capacity. What is your opinion about specialty courts, drug court, et cetera?
So we are going to claim that, and so we're going to say when I'm elected. But my opinion, I'm a huge proponent of accountability courts. I'm a huge proponent of diversion sentencing. I even believe in apprenticeship programs. I think that we have to make the distinction between those who can be rehabilitated and who can be productive members of society and those who need to go sit down for a second. But there's a distinction in those two. And we have to be able to look at the cases, look at the individuals, and make individual decisions. So our accountability courts right now, they are not well funded. And they need to be better funded. For instance, if you look at the Fulton County Mental Health Court, well, we know mental health is a huge issue. Well, why are there only 50 people in mental health court at any given time? That's not okay. And so when we're looking at, you can't lock your way up to a safer society. You just can't. And so what we need to make sure that we're doing is that our court system needs to be present, our judges need to be present, everybody needs to be held accountable for their part in the system. People's rights need to be protected, the community needs to be protected. So accountability courts, I'm a huge proponent of them. I think we need more funding of them so that they can work the way they're supposed to be working and be expanded to beyond 50 people. Especially in Fulton County, we've got over 1 million citizens here, 1 million residents. And only 50 people in mental health court at any given time, that's not acceptable.
Let me break something into this conversation. Let me insert this because I see your background. I'm aware of your background. I think you are an authentic warrior in the field of legal justice. When I was 17 years old, I received a First Offenders Act. It was given to me by Judge Hancock. And Judge Hancock in DeKalb County was known as one of the most difficult judges in the entire county. And Judge Hancock gave me this First Offenders Act, which was a glorious experience, and it saved me from ever having a felony on my record. But I had 5 years of probation. My judicial experience was remarkable considering the circumstance. My probation experience was hell. That probation dynamic is still something that has been basically a black eye to the criminal justice system. Would you be in a place, and I know you got to answer this the way you answer it, but would you be in a place where you would violate people for maybe not paying the fine in time? Because that is a technical violation of their probation, but that's almost like making poor people criminalized again through the system.
So, like you said, because of the judicial canons of ethics, I can't say what I would do. What I can tell you is that as a prosecutor, it was not my practice to ask for jail time on people who were coming before the court for revocations because of a fine. I 100% agree with you that we have to be careful not to criminalize people just because they are impoverished or just because they don't have a lot of money. We can't do that. And so I think we have to look at our judicial system as a whole, even in sentencing. Like I said, I was a prosecutor for almost 10 years. And in that time, I was very thoughtful in the sentencing that I made sentencing recommendations, that I made, and really took each case as a person-by-person basis. Like I used to tell people all the time, and I still abide by this, every person whose case I handle, you are not just a file. You are a person. And I try to treat you in the same way that I would treat my brother, my mother, my best friend, a loved one, because we all deserve to feel like somebody is looking at our cases and looking at them for what they are and making the best recommendation. So there were times where I had, young people who would come into court for stuff that it's just them making stupid mistakes. And that I was not willing to recommend jail time for that. I was not even necessarily willing to recommend something that would give them a felony record because I understand how that impacts their life going forward.
Well said. Listen, you are a remarkable candidate, and Shermela Williams, you are destined for greatness. How can people support you, find more information, be part of your campaign?
Well, I am so thankful for that vote of confidence and encouragement. So people can find me online. My website is Shermela, SHERMELA, Judge. So that's ShermelaforJudge.com. On social media, on Facebook and The Gram. I also teach part-time at Spelman, so they tell me I'm not supposed to say Instagram. It's The Gram.
That's right. You say The Gram.
IG. On the gram or IG, they can find me at Shermela4Judge, same thing. And on Twitter, it's Shermela4Judge. And so we're excited. I want to encourage everybody to get out there and vote. If you have not gotten your absentee ballot, they are backlogged in Fulton County. Please, please, please do not sit this election out. Mask up and show up. And just thank you so much for this opportunity, Mr. Richey.
Thank you, sister. I appreciate your time with us today.
Oh, one more thing, man.
All right.
One more thing.
Yes.
So
yes.
We just also received endorsements from Park Cannon, from Bianca Motley Broom, who's the mayor of College Park, and from Abel Mabel. So I'm super excited about all of those. So come on.
Those are great endorsements, sister. They keep piling on. I know you're also supported by Judge Penny.
Yes, Judge Penny. Absolutely. I love you some Judge Penny.
Yeah, she's my mentor. Great stuff. All right, we'll talk soon.
All right, thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, sis. 404-892-2703. Realest Man on Radio.